We've come a long way together over the last year. Now we need everybody, we need you to get vaccinated and help put COVID behind us once and for all. It's time for everyone to say they've rolled up their sleeves and gotten their vaccinations. COVID vaccines are safe and effective. Everyone in the Benjamin family has now been vaccinated, even our youngest. Just like we've done, and just like so many others across the Midlands, it is important to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Once you've gotten fully vaccinated, you'll know you've done your part in helping everyone get safely back together again. Take a look, see how easy that was. Vaccinations are free and available from great community partners all across the Midlands. Getting our city and all of our communities back to normal is almost within reach. We're almost there. This is your shot, Columbia.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Happy Thursday and welcome to Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and today we are continuing our coverage of state and local elections. We've highlighted several, and today we're going to continue that to keep you informed and updated about the upcoming elections. And today, Mia McCleod joins us. The state senator is running for governor of South Carolina. Hello, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Tre. Thanks. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. It's great to see you. Girl power in the house.
Yes. Girl power. Sure.
Plus, Columbia, South Carolina City Council candidate attorney Tyler Benjamin also joins us today on Coping with COVID. Hello, Tyler.
Hey, how you doing?
Listen, you're not a girl, but we love you too.
Nope, and I'm all for girl power too, so I appreciate the love. Hey, how you doing?
Mia McCleod, Tyler Benjamin, we're going to talk to them coming up next on Coping with COVID. Thank you guys so much for joining us. But first, your COVID community updates. The nationwide ban on evictions ends this Saturday. The Biden administration said they wanted to extend it due to the COVID variant, but the Supreme Court ruled it could only be extended through July. Now, this means that landlords can legally remove renters who are behind on their rent. Now, the CDC originally put the moratorium in place last September. Several resources are available for those who need it. Look at the screen. You'll see resources including Richland County, SC Housing, and you can also contact SC Legal Services. Please take note of those resources. They are available if you need rental assistance. Now, Columbia is known to be famously hot, and it will literally be that the next 2 days. Forecasters say it'll be up in the upper 90s, maybe even the triple digits today and tomorrow, and it will feel even hotter with that humidity. Now, with the temperatures being in the highest in the last 2 years, officials warn that if you are out and about, please make certain to stay hydrated. That means drink water, wear cool and loose, comfortable clothes, and check on the elderly and your animals. And congratulations to Felicia Clark. The Benedict College and Clemson University grad became the first African-American to win the title of Mrs. South Carolina. The administrative assistant at Fort Jackson's Child and Youth Services Center has been participating in pageants for several years, and according to the executives of the pageants in the Carolinas, she's thought to be a strong contender for the Mrs. America pageant in Vegas this fall. Congratulations and good luck to Felicia. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and location for COVID vaccinations and COVID testings in and around South Carolina. Visit scdhec.com for more information and check the scroll at the bottom of the screen. Throughout the show, we will be highlighting several places in South Carolina that you can get your COVID vaccine. Now, if you are a veteran, COVID vaccinations can be done at the VA. Please check the information on the screen and register to get your COVID vaccination at the VA if you are a veteran. Several retail outlets in and around South Carolina also offer the COVID vaccination, including Kroger pharmacies and CVS. There are also CVS located in Target stores, and they are also offering the COVID vaccination. Now, if you or someone you know is a little technically challenged, Get Set Up is offering free help for seniors and anyone who needs it to set up their COVID vaccination appointment. Visit SCDHEC or Get Set Up for more information. Now, the Comet bus system is also helping you with your vaccination. Don't miss your shot. You can not only get free rides to get your vaccination from the Comet bus system, but you can also get your vaccination at the Comet's main location in Columbia, South Carolina, at the corner of Sumter and Laurel Streets. Check the screen for more information. FEMA is continuing to do reimbursements for those folks who have passed away due to COVID. They still have funds available for COVID-related funeral expenses. Please check the screen for more information and pass this information out also to people who you think may need it. As we said earlier in the news section, there are several resources available in and around South Carolina for bill and rental assistance, including Richland County SC.gov. Log on and apply for those funds. Also, Dominion Energy and SC Housing has a bill payment assistance program, and SC Housing also has some help for frontline workers who want to purchase a home. The City of Columbia is continuing their 6-month payment plan for water bills and payment assistance up to 75% off. And you've got until August 15 for open enrollment, the ACA, Obamacare. If you do not have health insurance, you've got until August 15 to get it. And if you already have it, you can qualify for additional subsidies. So check out signup.sc.org. Finally, the South Carolina Department of Health Mental Health has launched SC Hopes. It is an online service and a toll-free number for anyone you know that may need help coping with COVID. Coping with COVID airs live on the TaylorMade production page on Facebook. Please go over there and hit like and follow and share so that not only you can get notifications when to watch Coping with COVID Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. and also first Monday with comedian George Wallace. We are also streaming live on YouTube. Want to say hi to all of you YouTubers. Please hit the subscribe button. And we also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. Listen, don't forget to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. And if you have a comment or a question, please put it in the comment section and we will answer your question. We continue our coverage of state and local elections on Coping with COVID. Coming up later, we'll talk to a local attorney running for Columbia City Council. Right now, Mia McCleod joins us. The South Carolina senator became the first African-American and woman to win that seat. Before that, she served several years as a state representative here in South Carolina. She has been a vocal advocate of higher and public education, the workforce, affordable health, racial equality, and safer highways. And her work on domestic violence and crime victims has received praise nationally for being effective and innovative. Mia McCleod, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID.
Thanks so much for having me, Trey. I always enjoy being with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Listen, I just want to know, first things first, girl, why do you want to be governor?
Well, that is, it's an obvious, it's a big question, but the answer is obvious to me, at least. Now more than ever, we need a governor a true leader who has the courage to lead, the guts to govern, and the experience to hit the ground running on day one. And I am that candidate. So, we're looking at the future of South Carolina. I mean, not just today, but in terms of the present, but, we've got a governor who, during a global pandemic, refused to expand Medicaid. Right now, he is forcing kids back to school before they're able to be vaccinated, and teachers and other folks back to work, some of whom can't be vaccinated for medical reasons. And we've got a Delta variant that is here and already creating a surge across South Carolina. His vaccination rollout was abysmal. And, I don't want to focus on all of the things that he has not done. I want to focus on the things that I can and will do. And as governor, I will certainly expand Medicaid right out of the gate because I can, and because it's the right thing to do for all South Carolinians. I will set the tone and the state's priorities and to make sure that all of our citizens are protected. And to make sure that everybody in the state has an opportunity to thrive, that people can earn wages that they, can actually live on. And so that I want to create a state so that our best and brightest from here, like my boys, stay here. We're losing our best and brightest every single day to educational opportunities and economic opportunities and of other states, higher pay, better quality of life. And that just shouldn't be, but we are regressing as a state. So my boys and other young adults their ages are looking daily at the opportunities and the, just the progressive ways of other states. And that's really going to hurt us.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about that. What is it specifically? Because we've got Boeing, we've got BMW, we've got Volvo, and we do have plenty of great colleges. What is missing in that equation?
A lot is missing, Trey. A lot is missing. Here's the thing: we've been talking about workforce development for years and years, but we haven't really been about workforce development for that long, or ever, in my opinion. We do have industry coming into this state, but we're having to bring people in to fill those high-paying positions from out of state. And that is a problem. We aren't investing in public education. We aren't investing in our infrastructure. We aren't investing in our healthcare system. So, while these industries are lured here and recruited to come here or expand here because of the incentives that we give them, we're not incentivizing people to work in this state. We are more than happy. Our leaders are more than happy for our people, homegrown South Carolinians, to work at these, at minimum wage jobs, barely making ends meet, so that they have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to keep a roof over their heads. And meanwhile, we're bringing people in from other states to fill these high-paying positions. That doesn't positively impact South Carolinians at all. It just doesn't. And it's time for us to change that. We can change it. We just haven't, because our leaders haven't been committed to that.
Well, Mia, what do you say to the person who might say to you, well, are South Carolinians just not applying for these jobs? Are they not qualified for the jobs? The jobs are there. Or are people actively being recruited from out of state to fill those positions?
All of the above. Really. Without us really investing in public education here, Trey, there's no way that our kids, especially in rural, underserved communities like my hometown community and others that have been dubbed by some as the Carter of shame. They are leap years behind when it comes to being educated and armed with the skill sets that they need to fill those positions. So they can apply, absolutely.
Yeah.
But without the skill sets to fill those jobs, they are not likely to get them. So they don't get to take advantage of the opportunities that we have here because we don't arm them or equip them with the skill sets and the education that they need to do the job. And there's no bridge. Workforce development is supposed to be a bridge so that the technical colleges and institutions of higher learning can help bridge that gap and equip them with the skill sets that they need to fill those positions. But that's not happening. So we end up bringing people in from other states to fill those jobs, and our folks still, are relegated to the bottom of that chain or that process, and having to work minimum wage jobs. I call South Carolina a right to work for slave wages state, because that's truly what we are. And we want to force people back into those positions. But the reality is, all that the Republicans were doing all that hype about, oh my gosh, people are lazy. They don't want to go back to work. All they want to do is sit home and collect unemployment. Well, the reality is people were unemployed through no fault of their own during the pandemic. And now beyond the pandemic, Republicans have stripped every federal supplement that they could from these are recovering South Carolinians. These are people who were working 2 and 3 jobs, and then they got a taste of, oh my gosh, money that, where I don't have to struggle for like a few months at least. I don't have to struggle and worry about my health and my family and keeping a roof over my head and keeping clothes on our backs and food on our tables. But when you're making more on unemployment than you do on the job, that is the problem. Yeah. Not the federal assistance. So we've got some serious work to do to change not just our state in terms of the opportunities, but to just arm our citizens with the skill sets and the knowledge and the, everything that they need to be able to take advantage of the jobs that pay well that are here.
Yeah, it's so interesting, girl. Sounds like a Tyler Perry show, the have and the have nots.
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. We're talking to Mia McCleod. She is a state senator here in South Carolina, running for governor of South Carolina. You mentioned the corridor of shame. This is your website, and your video, your opening video kind of talks about that. Let's listen to that, Mia. Oh, okay. We're going to come back to that. It's not playing right now. We're going to come back to Mia's video in just a minute. But you have been a big proponent of education, public education, higher education. So what needs to happen exactly, Mia? What do you see as the gap filler for making education a priority in South Carolina so South Carolinians can compete?
Here's the thing. I see it as a simple, it's not as complicated as they make it out to be. I think the first thing that we have to do is fully and equitably fund public education in the state. I mean, it's not rocket science, but when you have, I grew up in Bennettsville, South Carolina, in Marlborough County, and I saw my mom, who was a public school teacher and librarian, binding, adding tape and glue to the backs of our books to just hold them together. We had love, and we had, the support of our village. We had a strong sense of community back then, and, great teachers and people who actually cared about us and wanted us to be and do our best. And we have teachers today who want that very same thing, and parents, of course, who want that for their kids. But the school system the public education system is it's not fully and equitably funded for everybody. So when I raised my boys in Richland School District 2, I saw the disparities and, just the stark contrast between what I grew up with in terms of educational resources and opportunities and what they had at their disposal as students in Richland School District 2. And that is just, it's just unconscionable that we would still be dealing with these types of issues in 2021. Those are things that we can and should fix. And I voted against the Republicans' version of education reform because it's not real reform. We have a real opportunity and a real need, and that is to address all of the systemic ills that have gotten us to this place. And until we commit ourselves to doing that, I'm going to continue to voice my opposition to just window dressing and Band-Aid fixes because they don't work. And that's why we're here. We have to address the systemic ills, and that starts with addressing education reform, criminal justice and policing reform, healthcare reform, environment. You name it, and we need to reform it in the state.
Yeah. What does that reform look like to you, though, Mia? We're talking to Mia McCleod. She is a senator here in South Carolina and a candidate for governor of South Carolina. So what does policing reform look like to you?
That's a great question. I introduced last year, right after George Floyd's murder. I was really concerned, like I was in 2015, when my friend and colleague, Senator Pinckney, was gunned down with 8 other parishioners at Mother Emanuel, that we would be so focused on the symbols and bringing the symbols down that we would lose sight of the systemic ills that are crippling us and still wreaking havoc on people of color, especially in the state. So after George Floyd's murder, I introduced the Transparency and Justice Act. It is by far the most comprehensive criminal justice reform bill that has been introduced in the General Assembly, and it's designed to address some of the major systemic challenges. Like, for instance, we had a real opportunity to make hate a crime in this state this year. Instead, we chose to. The Republicans chose to prioritize fetal heartbeat bills and firing squads and open carry bills. My Transparency and Justice Act, although I still support Representative Gilliard's bill that was introduced in the House as hate crimes bill, my bill would also make hate a crime in South Carolina. And it would repeal our expansive citizens arrest law so that what happened to Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia doesn't happen here. We can prevent that. But our citizens arrest law, as I read it, is even more expansive than Georgia's was. So make hate a crime, repeal the citizens arrest law, ban no-knock warrants and police chokeholds, require de-escalation training, decriminalize marijuana. It would restore SNAP benefits. It would require that candidates who want to become officers be vetted more thoroughly and more comprehensively by making sure that they are not affiliated with any hate groups or white supremacy organizations. It would do the same for current law enforcement officers who, once they're hired, aren't usually vetted beyond that. If they want to get recertified under my bill, it would require that they be thoroughly vetted at that point, at the point of recertification. And finally, I'm just going from memory here, so forgive me if I leave something out, but it would also ban qualified immunity for law enforcement officers in unjustified law enforcement killings. And that is so critical because what we've seen, happen in George Floyd's case, that's really an anomaly. The Derek Chauvins of the world don't get arrested or charged, let alone prosecuted or and
Right.
convicted. So that alone, that one bill, if it becomes law, will really jumpstart the critical systemic changes that we need to see in terms of criminal justice reform and policing reform in the state.
Yeah, you've done some amazing things as, being a senator and before that as a representative. What has happened? Well, how has your time in the state house helped you for this?
Oh, wow. It has prepared me for this. I didn't realize how I've always worked in and around state government, and I've worked for a Republican attorney general and a Democratic governor. So I've worked in the executive branch on both sides of the aisle, and that was tremendously helpful. Although I didn't understand at that point what God was preparing me to do.
Yeah.
I have since discovered that all of the fights that I've taken on and all of the times that I've felt lonely and disheartened and discouraged and frustrated and, ostracized because I spoke out about the things that I saw, even if it meant speaking out against members of my own party. That too was preparation, and it was probably the best possible preparation because I just did not know that there was so much work to do. So many people who served with me at points, and who continue to serve with me, are self-serving, and many of them have been there far too long in both parties. And it's really crippled our growth and progression as a state because, when you don't have people who are connected, who have children that are school aged or who are, right in the thick of having to work for a living like I am, or having a pre-existing chronic health condition like I do, you kind of lose that sense of connection because you can't possibly understand what everyday people are facing, especially during a pandemic when, people who have pre-existing conditions are much more susceptible to exposure and death when it comes to this virus and this pandemic. And people who have to work like I do are struggling to make ends meet when their business opportunities go down because of the pandemic, or they become unemployed. And I didn't know, Trey, until the pandemic. Oh my gosh, it exposed so many different things that we need to address. I didn't know that people who are unemployed in this state can get anywhere from $42 a week to $326 a week. So if you make, you can't do anything with $42 a week. Let's just be clear about that. Okay.
Right.
But even if you make supposedly, decent money, say you're making $40,000 a year, which is barely enough in this state to make ends meet without having a second job. And most people would have to have a second job. You get $326 a week if you're unemployed. If you make $80,000 a week, which would be considered quote unquote decent money, you get $326 if you're unemployed. So those are, and that hasn't changed in 14 years.
Yeah.
They haven't raised that amount for 14 years to help employees. Now, for employers, though, they have gotten all kinds of tax cuts and other, incentives for industry to come in. But employees get absolutely nothing. There's no balance. And I have been fighting for balance now the entire time that I've been in the Senate, but even more now that all of these other disparities and systemic ills have been exposed during the pandemic.
Yeah, we're talking to Mia McCleod. You can see her website here, Mia for SC, if you want more information about her or her campaign. As you said, Mia, there, listening to you, there's so much to be done and so much that can be done. What do you want people to know about you and your candidacy?
I want people to know that I'm a fighter, but you know, and I say that not. I'm not one to back down from a fight. I try not to start the fights, but I am definitely one who will jump in and has to fight for the people of this state. That didn't just start when I announced a run for governor. In fact, that started my first year in the South Carolina House when they chopped up my district during redistricting, a process that we are now on the cusp of again 10 years later. And I tried to explain to my colleagues in the House Democratic Caucus, as well as my colleagues on the Republican side, that hey, this is a part of the Republicans' national strategy to pack swing districts like mine at the time with Black voters to further marginalize our voices. They aren't doing that to help us. And I just don't believe that as legislators or elected officials at any level of government, we should be choosing our voters. Our voters should be choosing us because anything else is self-serving. And it is not for the greater good or the good of the people. So I would want people to know that, the fights that are ahead of us are just as egregious as the fights that are somewhat behind us. And they're never truly behind us. We just kind of move on. But I am willing to tackle the tough issues. I do have the courage to lead, as I said, and the guts to govern. And now more than ever, we need somebody who has those qualities and those attributes, and who has the experience to tackle all of the systemic changes and systemic ills that have been plaguing us as a state for far too long. So I would just ask for them to Google me and look me up. Don't take my word for it. I invite you and encourage you to look at my record of service and go to miaforsd.com and look at the things that I've done and said and fought for. And you'll see that I've been fighting for you for the entire time that I've been in state government as an elected official, and also prior to that. So that would be what I'd want to leave them with. My website is miaforsd.com. That's miaforsc.com.
All right. Mia McCleod, running for governor of South Carolina. We're looking at her website right here. We are going to leave by playing her introductory video on the website. Mia, thank you so much for joining us. Please know that you have a home here anytime you want to stop by and talk to us. Mia McCleod, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mia.
Thank you so much, Trey. Thanks for having me.
This is Bennettsville, South Carolina, a place so neglected by so many for so long that some even call it the corridor of shame. It's the place where I was born. It's the place that shaped me. And the truth is, all across South Carolina, we share similar stories of love, of faith, of defying the odds. But far too often across this state, we also share stories of struggle and neglect, because politicians have forgotten about all but those who agree with them or fund their campaigns. Fixing what's broken is all of our responsibilities. That's why I first ran for the legislature. I've been fighting for parents who, like me, dream of a better future for our children with quality education and great paying jobs so we can keep our best and brightest here. For women, so we can control our own healthcare decisions, and for families, so we can stay safe and healthy without emptying our life savings. And why I take on the fights the old guard runs away from. I come from a long line of servant leaders, going as far back as my great-great-grandfather. My name is Mia McCleod. I'm running for governor to build a South Carolina that can work for all of us, to bring new jobs to our state and to support the people and the industries that are the backbone of our economy, especially our farmers and small businesses, so we can keep our best and brightest right here, where our jobs pay enough to keep our families secure, to ensure that our state is never again brought to the brink when a disaster hits. These are the new stories that can define us, the new victories we can share. This is our South Carolina, and together we can create the state we all deserve. That's why I'm running for governor, and why I need you to join me.
All right. For more information, to volunteer or to contribute to her campaign, go to miaforsc.com. Coming up, Tyler Bailey is running for city council. We'll find out more about him next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor.
You can eat what's good to you and good for you, too.
Yes.
Get the Dash for Southern Soul cookbook free. All you have to do is ask. It's packed with delicious Southern-style recipes with a healthy twist.
Yummy.
You won't be able to taste the difference, but you will be able to feel the difference.
Yeah.
Inbox your email address to the In It Together or TaylorMade Productions Facebook page, and you'll get it straight to your mailbox. The Dash for Southern Style cookbook and a Coping with COVID face mask. From In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, and Coping with COVID.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday life, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
Let Palmetto Painting Services take the worry out of your next home painting project. We can paint anything. Our business is about interior painting and exterior painting. We offer services for residential and commercial properties. Restore the life to your home with a fresh coat of paint from Palmetto Painting Services. References are available upon request. Give us a call at 803-546-4570 today.
Need health insurance? Call Javis at 803-419-1001. Javis can get you health insurance premiums as low as $0, plus other low-cost and affordable options. 803-419-1001. Let Javis help you file your taxes. And if you need it, get a cash advance from $500 to $6,000. Javis Tax Services, 803-419-1001. Javis Tax Service. JavisTax.com.
How will you remember the year 2020?
COVID.
Losing my job.
Working 12-hour shifts in a mask.
Losing my grandma to COVID.
COVID has claimed thousands in South Carolina and strained our health system, schools, businesses, and families. If you're struggling and need to talk, call SC Hopes. That free call can help put you in touch with people who can help. This goes for healthcare workers, teachers, restaurant employees, parents, anyone and everyone. SC Hopes, mental health and addiction support for challenging times.
You're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Good afternoon. I'm Tre Tailor. Listen, please like, share, and follow us on the TaylorMade production page. That's the home of Coping with COVID. We would love for you to do that. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, and also like and follow us on Instagram and also on Twitter. We're continuing our coverage of local politics with another look at a candidate for Columbia City Council, the at-large seat. Tyler Bailey is a local attorney, father, active member of the Columbia community, and he too is seeking the at-large seat. Tyler, so nice to meet you. Welcome to Coping with COVID. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So first off, you were a PK, a preacher's kid. What have you learned and experienced as a PK that has helped you in life and you think will help you if you win the Columbia City Council seat?
Yeah, being a PK is something that you said war, but I still am a PK. My parents are pastors.
Right.
They're pastors of Right Direction Church International. All my life, they've been either serving in ministry or the founding pastors of Right Direction. So I've seen them do everything from preaching on Sundays to visiting nursing homes to being there to celebrate somebody, dedicating their child after they're just born and burying somebody the same day. And so I think the contrast of being there for people is something that I've taken with me as a lawyer when I'm representing people, but also I'll take that with me when I'm on city council. Everybody, the human experience is so varying from person to person. And people who are serving people need to know how to bounce between all of those emotions, really just be present and be there for people and serve people. When a lot of times people think of preachers, they think about Sunday, but they're not thinking about all the work that comes into serving the congregants. And that's something that's been, instilled in me from a young age and something I carry with me every day.
Yeah, you're also very active in the community. You're on several boards, including your church board, community board, sister care, and Pretty Powerful. Tell me about Pretty Powerful and some of the other boards you've served on and why you chose those.
Yeah, it sounds cliche, but people say service is the rent we pay every day on earth. And that's what I look at it as. So sister care, my church, the Greater Columbia Community Relations Council. I'm honestly on so many boards, I can't even keep track of all of them sometimes. But Pretty Powerful organization was started by my sister and her friend, Jessica Thompson, who's like my sister as well. And they started to really uplift young women, young girls, so they're successful transition from high school to college into being young professionals. And so I serve on that board and I give a male perspective. I know we said girl power earlier, and I really do mean that. So a lot of times I am helping out on the legal side, business side, make sure the organization is running smoothly and continue to progress. But I also give a good male perspective if I'm ever given the floor to give my perspective when I'm with them.
Why did you choose law?
So I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and businessman. When I went to Hampton University for undergrad, I took a business law course, and my professor, I got the only A in that course, right?
Wow.
And my professor talked about how being a lawyer, you can do so much good in your community. And he kind of pitched me on, look, Tyler, I know you want to have your own business and be successful that way, but you can have your own business and you can be a lawyer. You can do good work, help people in the community. And so I mixed two of those together by starting my own law firm and being a lawyer. So that's what transitioned from strictly business to being a lawyer and helping people. Because I look at my work as a lawyer as service to the community. I represent people oftentimes in the civil justice and the criminal justice system that does not always show the most love towards Black and brown communities and Black and brown people. And so it's a fight every day, but I wouldn't rather be doing anything else.
Yeah. You're a fellow pirate. You're home by the sea. To date me, when I went to Hampton, it was HI and not HU.
So I didn't know you were at Hampton. So I just learned something.
I'm a pirate.
Okay. Yeah.
So listen. So why city council? You can run for a lot of things. Why city council? And why now? Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned you can run for a lot of things because like I said, I serve as a lawyer already. I serve in the community on a lot of boards. And I always told myself I would consider public service if I really thought that I could make a change and do a difference in a certain seat. And with city council, I think it's uniquely positioned to really make change. For example, during the pandemic, you saw that city council here in Columbia stepped up with mask ordinances and made certain decisions that the state didn't make. And I like that city council can get things done. And I live in the city. I'm raising my son here. I run my business here. I'm from Columbia. I want to see Columbia be successful. And when Tamika Devine decided to run for mayor, there was an opportunity for her at-large seat, which she's been sitting in for a long time, was open. And I really believe I have the skills, the experience, being from the city, want the city to be successful moving forward, raise a family here, that I can actually do some good and actually help make some change there. So that's the only reason I'm running. And I wouldn't run for anything else right now because I believe that's where the most change can be done.
Yeah, Tyler Bailey is joining us. He is running for Columbia City Council, the at-large seat. I'm Tre Tailor. You're watching Coping with COVID. Hey, don't forget that scrolling at the bottom of the screen, several resources are available if you are having some challenges coping with COVID, whether financially or health-wise. So I saw on your website that you mentioned that you feel like Columbia is behind Charleston and Greenville. So Tyler, I want to ask, what do they have that we don't have, and how do we get it?
Yeah, so I don't think Charleston or Greenville has anything that Columbia doesn't have. The question is, why are we, Columbia, lagging behind when it comes down to certain things in Charleston and Greenville? Mm-hmm. And I don't think Columbia needs to try to be like Charleston or Greenville, but I do believe that we have, with the university here, we have 2 fabulous HBCUs. We got a lot of great public and private high schools here as well, and we have a lot of young talent. There's no reason why we should be losing out on business for companies like BMW who are going to Greenville, or Volvo, or Boeing down in Charleston. Columbia has missed out on a lot of opportunities, and I believe that there just needs to be a more emphasis on making sure we're recruiting business here, that we're retaining our young talent, that our services are good enough here so that business want to come here, and that way we'll be more successful in the future. So
go ahead, Tyler. I'm sorry.
Long story short, Columbia has everything we need. I think we're uniquely positioned in the state to be the #1 city. And I joke around a lot of times when my friends, when they think of South Carolina, they think about Charleston from outside of the state, or they think about Greenville. They don't think about Columbia, and we're the capital city. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. So what do we need then? What does Columbia need to attract the Volvos, the BMWs, the Boeings, and to keep, people who are Black and brown, who are highly educated here in the city?
Yeah, so I think we have everything we need to attract them. I think there just needs to be an emphasis on all levels of local government in winning these opportunities. Like you said, we got great young talent here. We have a beautiful river that we're right on. Our downtown area is great. We got our convention center, which can be expanded in my opinion, which could also bring more opportunities for the city. So we have everything in the city to win these opportunities, but our local government needs to position the city to win out on these opportunities. So long story short, we've been losing out on opportunities to Greenville, losing out on opportunities to Charlotte, to Charleston, to other surrounding cities. And if we really pitch it and make sure that our tax structure is fine right now, but showing them the value that we have here in the city, then we'll win out on those opportunities.
What do you think we're doing right in Columbia? And what do you think we need to change about how the city of Columbia is run?
Yeah, I think Columbia, if you look back over the last 10 years, there's been a whole lot of growth. The Bull Street project, the Main Street District, the Vista, there's been a lot of positive trends when it comes down to things like our restaurants, our businesses. We're a very attractive city. Now, I think that some of the growth and positive impact that the city's has not been as spread out as I would like to see it. Some areas in North Columbia are not seeing the same growth and same opportunities that we're getting here in downtown. There's been some progress up North Main, but there's other areas of the city that need to be can use some more emphasis on. We're losing out on grocery stores in a lot of communities here. Affordable housing is tough to come across. Our infrastructure can be improved throughout the city, not just in the downtown Main Street District area. And me running at large and being from here, I see the contrast. So I grew up mainly on Sanders Road, Broad River side of town. Now living downtown in Columbia, I can say that, hey, great Elmwood Park's a great neighborhood where I'm living. And downtown is doing well, but some of the progress is not going on Broad River Road and areas that's in the city, or it's not happening up in the North Columbia area as well. So we just need to make sure that the entire city continues to progress and move up, and not just the popular attractions.
All right, we're talking to Tyler Bailey. He is running for the City of Columbia City Council at large seat. Want to take a look right quick at your promotional video, Tyler, and then I'm going to come back and ask you about some specific things that are challenging in every city pretty much in America, but specifically here in Columbia, and what you would propose. We'll be right back.
I'm Tyler Bailey. I'm running for City Council because Columbia is my home and this is my community. We're standing right now in Elmwood Park, which is the park in my own neighborhood. but there's neighborhoods throughout this entire city that aren't reaching the potential that I know it can reach. In the last 10 years, Columbia has seen a lot of growth, but unfortunately, some of our neighborhoods are being left behind. Grocery stores are disappearing. It's difficult to find affordable housing, and Columbia should be a place where everybody can live and raise a family, regardless of what side of town you live on. The pandemic has taken a toll on our small business and entrepreneurship community. As a small business owner and entrepreneur myself, I know that we don't just want to survive the pandemic. We want our businesses to thrive long into the future. So on City Council, I pledge to use all my power to make sure our businesses are successful long into the future. Now, you've heard about a lot of the issues that I'm passionate about, but I want to hear what you care about, what's affecting your family, what's affecting your business. And after that, I hope to gain your support. I look forward to serving you on City Council.
Taylor Bailey, he is running for City of Columbia Council seat at large. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. Let me ask you about some of your thoughts and solutions that you would like to propose for a couple of things. Let's talk a little bit about homelessness. It's a big problem in South Carolina, in Columbia, but everywhere.
Yeah, so homelessness is a problem or an issue that needs to be addressed in most major cities throughout the United States and in Columbia as well. I mean, we have a lot of great programs and opportunities out there for people who are experiencing homelessness to get on their feet, obtain employment, obtain housing. And so I think the biggest thing we need to do is make sure that we are addressing the homeless situation here and making sure that it's not something that's being neglected and ignored and looked at solely just as an inconvenience. But we really need to address the systemic root cause of the homelessness when people who are experiencing homelessness and make sure we got some real solutions to changing it.
Yeah. What about affordable housing? You mentioned that not only on your website, but also in your promo piece. Right now, due to the pandemic, lumber prices are really high. So how do you kind of tackle that affordable housing issue?
Yeah, well, the good thing is that the lumber prices are starting to get back down towards the levels they were pre-pandemic. It's not as high as they were at the height, but regarding affordable housing, I think there needs to be an emphasis on our city government to make sure that we are incentivizing developers of affordable housing and making sure that's an option for the city. So if you're like, let's say you just graduated from college, like I did a couple of years ago from law school, moved here, and you want to buy a home in the city, the downtown area or the city limits, it's kind of tough to find a house you can afford. I mean, the prices are going through the roof. Mm-hmm. And so we need to have some real housing that's developed to fill that gap. So we're not losing our young professionals. We're not losing people who want to be here but can't afford to live here anymore.
Yeah, guns, crimes, policing, that's a big thing also. Again, nationwide, but here in Columbia, we are seeing, I mean, it's looking like the shootout at the OK Corral, you know? So how do we tackle that?
Yeah,
that was probably a something you don't know what that is. I just dated myself again when I just thought, do you know what that means when I say shootout at the OK Corral?
I think it's like a Western movie, right?
Yes, it is.
There you go. I've heard the same thing. I've never seen the movie. But yeah, so gun violence in particular is very high in the North Columbia area. Crime is an issue that needs to be addressed. I have outlined several initiatives. I'm focusing more so on neighborhood safety. The police do a good job here in the city of Columbia of trying to address crime, but I think we need more so emphasis on the community, making sure that there's relationships between law enforcement and the community, and also between community leaders who are more prime and in a better position to address gun violence and address crime before it happens. The police can only address crime usually after the shooting happens. They can investigate it, they can make an arrest, but what's happening before when two kids have a beef and they're getting fired at school and everybody in the neighborhood knows there's a problem between the two. And then it escalates into a shootout and an innocent bystander or a kid in their house gets shot. And now the police are addressing it and they're asking the community, hey, what can we do to stop this? So it needs to be a real community effort to make sure that we're addressing crime, particularly in our communities, because it's a pandemic that's killing us.
Yeah, it is. What about accessibility to guns? Because it seems easy, or it doesn't. It should be a little harder to me to be able to get a gun. What do you think about that?
Well, the thing is, a lot of these crimes that are occurring are because the people have access to illegal firearms.
Right.
So I'll just give you an example that people don't think about. In the city limits of Columbia, people a lot of times complain about their cars getting broken into when they forget to lock their doors. And some of these people have firearms in their cars, and they have them in their glove compartment or in their center console.
Yeah.
And if they left their door open, somebody can steal the gun, take the serial number off, and sell it. And so a lot of those guns are what are causing the crimes that we're hearing about. So little things like if you have a gun and you keep it in your car, make sure you check the glove compartment in your city council, make sure it's there. And then from there, you need to know your serial number of it. So if you lose your gun, you report it to the police. Hopefully they can track it down. And so access to illegal firearms, I think, is a big problem. In my legal work, I see it all the time. I'm seeing younger and younger people with guns, not just handguns, but also AR-15s and a lot of high-powered firearms. And so I think we need to get a lot of these illegal firearms off the street. We need to make sure that violent criminals don't have access to firearms as well. We really need to have a big emphasis on controlling gun violence and the access to these firearms. So I think it's a problem that needs to be addressed. And if it's not addressed at a community level, then whatever law enforcement is doing, or whatever the city government can do to make any policies to try to curb the access to firearms, it's still not going to solve the problem.
Tyler Bailey joins us. He is a local attorney and candidate for City of Columbia Council at Large C. Hey, Tyler, we have a very active Office of Business Opportunities in Columbia. As a small business owner and entrepreneur, you have your own law firm. What else do you think needs to happen to support and encourage entrepreneurship in Columbia?
Well, I really think most of the businesses and the entrepreneurs here were small businesses. And I think the city needs to have partnerships and collaborations with local businesses. I just give you, for example, when I started my own law firm, I didn't know anything about the city's business license. I wish when you filed your LLC paperwork and its address, maybe there's a welcome packet. Say, hey, here's what you need to know. The city has a business license division. You will have business property taxes, making sure that we're running our business properly. And the city needs to not just, let's say, code enforcement telling a business what they're doing wrong, but making sure they're a resource to make sure that businesses are being successful. And I think that's what needs to be changed, not a city government that just is regulating what local business is doing, but a city government that's serving as a resource to say, hey, we're here so that you can be successful. We're here. So we're not going to just give you a code violation and tell you figure it out. We'll tell you, here's how you can figure it out. Here's what you need to know if you're opening a business downtown and you have residents that are next to you, that if you play your music too loud in your business, that could be a code violation. And so there's a lot of, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur like yourself, we're figuring out stuff every day. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to be successful. We want to hire people. We want our business to thrive. But I think the city needs to, and what I would propose is having these initiatives that the city's helping businesses and not just citing them for issues.
Yeah. Interesting perspective. Tyler Bailey joins us. He is a candidate for the City of Columbia Council at Large C. What do you want people to know about you, Tyler, as we wrap up, and what can we do? What can folks do?
Yeah, so if you live in the city, our election is November 2nd. And I'm running at large for the seat that Tamika Isaac Devine held for a lot of years, did a lot of good work. And now I believe I'm uniquely positioned to take the city further. And when you go into that voting booth on November 2nd, if I have your support, you will be voting for somebody who knows exactly what you're going through. I'm from Columbia. I've seen the change in Columbia. I'm raising a son here in Columbia. I'm running a business in Columbia. I have a lot invested in this city, and I want the city to be successful. And I want everybody in the city to have the same opportunities that the more affluent areas have. I want my son to be able to grow up here, be successful here, and not feel like he has to move to Charlotte, New York, or LA to do well. And so the election is November 2nd. If you'd like to learn more about me, please visit tylerforcolumbia.com. From there, you can sign up to volunteer. You learn more about me, and you can also donate to my campaign. I'm an open resource. My email and everything's on my website. If you have any questions, you can call me personally, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I look forward to talking to as many people as possible. And it's just an honor and opportunity to be here with you, Trey, and talk about my campaign and the work that I do. And even if I wasn't running for city council, I would still be serving the community and making sure that our city's doing well. And I plan to do that regardless of what happens, but I'm positive and I'm pretty sure that on November 2nd, I'll be successful. But thank you for this opportunity. And I want people to know, like I said, on November 2nd, vote for me. I'm here for you. In the meantime, get to know me a little better.
All right. You see the website right there, Tyler Bailey, and his information is on the screen. Tyler, thank you again so much for joining us. Good luck to you. God bless. Tell your mom and daddy we said hey. And please, like I said to me, the door's open anytime you want to come back and make an appearance on the show. We would love to have you. Thank you, Tyler. Good luck to you, darling.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic, information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Hey, don't forget that coming up on Saturday, we're heading to Charleston to visit the veteran-owned business Booze Pops. It sounds exactly what it is. It's boobs and ice pops. It's going to be interesting. We're going live at 2:00 in Charleston on Saturday. So join us for that. Don't forget the first Monday of every month. It's George Wallace Fun Day Monday with national comedian George Wallace. He is going to join us. He just texted me. Who knows what he's going to have on Monday, but we look forward to that. And then next Wednesday and every Wednesday, In It Together SC and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina present Wellness Wednesday. And we're going to talk about immunizations and back to school. That and so much more coming up on Coping with COVID. Now, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go over to the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook and inbox us. We would love to feature your story or initiative on Coping with COVID. Now, if you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwith@tretailor@gmail.com. The information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, In It Together SC, the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, Palmetto Media Connections, the Comet Bus System, Javis Tax Services, Agape Counseling and Training Services, also Palmetto Painting, and the Richland and Kershaw County 5th District Solicitor's Office and Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall. As always, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. It is the 29th of July, and today Jesus says, "Come to me continually. I am meant to be the center of your consciousness, the anchor of your soul. Your mind will wander from me, but the question is, how far will you allow it to wander? An anchor on a short rope lets a boat drift only slightly before it tugs back the boat toward the center. Similarly, as you drift away from me, my spirit within you gives you a tug, prompting you to return to me." Jesus says, as you become increasingly tuned to my presence, the length of the rope of your soul's anchor is shortened. You wander only a short distance before feeling that inner tug, telling you to return to your true center in me. That's your Jesus Calling for today, Thursday, July 29th. I'm Tre Tailor. Hey, thank you so much again for joining us. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take care, stay well, get your vaccination, and don't forget, you still need to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. See you later.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the city of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.